Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Blues Central on STL Sports Central. We got a instant recap of the Blues crushing loss to the Los Angeles Kings in overtime, a 2-1 loss. Not ideal for the St. Louis Blues, who are trying to, get back on the horse at home. I know that they've been struggling, and they got the win the last time, but did not come out on top tonight and looked like they were kind of chasing the game the whole time. Mike, what were your instant reactions to this game?
Well, it's embarrassing. You needed a huge bounce back win. I know that they got their first win here on home ice, and you're looking to be able to set a tone, especially up against a team like the LA Kings, who have been faltering here a little bit here as of late. And then you come out and you put 8 shots on goal here in the first 2 periods. It didn't look good. They didn't look ready. They didn't look energized. They played a decent third period, so there's that. But this was not a team that looked like that they were ready to be able to come out and be able to play here tonight. And unfortunately, they were the team that honestly on paper just deserved to lose the game.
Yeah, Blue Central post-game show is powered by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours, and it's also brought to you by our business banking partners at Home Bank. Here we go. From business lending to everyday banking, Home Bank has been with us since day one as a trusted partner. Business isn't just about numbers, it's about relationships. And with Home Bank, those relationships make all the difference. Home Bank is the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Home Bank, member FDIC, more than a bank. They're your business partner. Yeah, for me, I think it's just, I don't want to say that this team is like out of shape right now, but it's early enough in the season that I feel like that's kind of what we're dealing with. And I don't really feel like it's just a Blues specific. I mean, the Penguins are like 5-2 right now. So maybe it's just like a matchup thing. Maybe it's just, how ready is your team coming into the season? But it feels like there's a lot of teams, there's a lot of players specifically that are, kind of struggling to get their feet or really struggling to play at the level that we know that they're capable of.
Yeah.
Whether it's a, Stanley Cup hangover or whether it's just, like getting back into the swing of things and be like, oh yeah, this is a lot harder than I remember. Or, I'm not just laying on the couch watching Netflix anymore, like flying around with the boys, and it just takes a little bit to get back into it. But I think from what I've seen from this team so far, it's like, I know Jim Montgomery was talking about really getting out in front of the standings and, getting an early start to this season in a positive way. That way they didn't have to, repeat last year and just do it all at the end again. But it does seem like this team is, I don't want to say they're not prepared, but it feels like they're chasing a lot, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw a game, we talk about it when we break it down into periods. I think the Blues lost 2 out of the 4 periods played, or really 3 out of the 4 periods played tonight. That third period, they looked great, right? But they just only scored 1 goal, tied it. And then you go to overtime immediately, Booch gets a breakaway, slots it wide, takes a penalty because he looks exhausted. And I get it, it's a long shift, but like that's what separates the men from the boys. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And Booch makes a lot of money for this team, and he's out there because the team relies on him. And it's not his fault either, because like just because all these things happen at the end of the game, it's easy to say, oh, Booch was terrible, but Booch has played well in games too. I think it's a combination of I think this whole team is just chasing is the word that I'm going to keep using, because from a cardio perspective, from a corralling pucks perspective, from a puck battling perspective, like it shouldn't take Tyler Tucker fighting every game for you to screw your head on straight and be like, oh yeah, we should probably put on a show in front of our hometown fans. Like it's a home game, like against the Kings. The Kings were pretty solid last year. Like get up for it. Like you shouldn't be waking up 5 minutes before you leave for the rink. And I don't know what's happening. I'm just saying from the performance that we're watching, like just seems like they're chasing or they're,
falling behind. And they definitely are. And my problem, and I know like we're getting a lot of Booch hate here right now, like in the chat. And this is one that I will continue to be able to circle back here on. And this was here like at the end of last season. You know, we talked briefly here about Buchnevich, and I went on record and said, I am not optimistic about Pavel Buchnevich. And right now, you've got him with 4 assists here in 5 games before, you know, all tonight's stats here go in. He's averaging 16, just shy here of 17 minutes here of time on ice. He's second on the team here in points, but that's not much to be said when your leading scorer is Jake Neighbors with 5 points in 5 games, but then really nobody else is really doing a whole heck of a lot. And so when you see a guy here like Pavel Buchnevich, who is having a slow start to the season, he's had multiple opportunities to be able to score goals that just have not gone in. And so if it continues along this route, boy, he had better be setting up for some fantastic goals and be able to help win some games, because like a lot of comments here are saying, this contract's not going to age well. And I'm a fan of Pavel Buchnevich. I'm a fan of what he can be able to do, but I'm really, really worried that we're paying him top line, if you know, top 6 money, and it's not going to be worth it. And this, by the time it's over, like it's just going to look like it's ugly money, and I don't know if it's going to be worth it. So hopefully Pavel Buchnevich can be able to figure it out. But this goes back here to, you know, say like the Logan Mailloux conversation. Like it's more than just Logan Mailloux. This is an entire team effort. It's an entire team effort moving forward, and these guys have all got to be able to collectively come together and be able to figure this out on how to be able to get shots on net, how to be able to work around a defense, how to be able to properly enter the zone. I mean, it's like hockey 101 that these guys are just somehow are forgetting every single night. You know, they look good here in one game, but then they can't figure it out.
And to the point on the Mailloux conversations, like that guy's sitting in the press box tonight, right? And you had 8 shots through 2 periods, 18 shots total. Jordan Binnington standing on his head gets you to overtime, really wills this team to an overtime that you really probably didn't have business being in because of like the turnovers and the coughed up pucks that Jordan Binnington just managed to save because he's, you know, lights out, big game winner, just like we know. But yeah, I think to your point, it's a you got to look introspective at the team, and we could sit here and try to argue about who the biggest scapegoat is on the team, whether it's Buchnevich or Mailloux or Justin Falk tonight coughing up at the blue line and then getting his redemption goal. Like it's not just one player like you're talking about, Mike. It's a collective unit and a collective disappointment from the entire team. And I think when it's obvious like that, that's really when this team is going to struggle, because, and I think that's really where it kicks in with the lack of a superstar. Like when the team is struggling, like you're going to get poor results because you don't have an Austin Matthews or a Nathan MacKinnon that's just like, I'm going to take
but you have a Robert Thomas.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not the same level.
Yeah.
Like Nathan MacKinnon will take the puck and just break the game by himself because he gets pissed off and turns into a bull. Like we saw Robert Thomas like flying down the wing tonight, enter the blue zone or enter the offensive zone in a one-on-one situation, and he did like a little button hook and skated backwards and like passed it off, which is fine. Like that's his game. He's a playmaker and he's a distributor. Like that Justin Falk goal doesn't happen without him like passing it through the smallest window. But when you've got guys like MacKinnon or like McDavid that just take guys on like 1-on-1, 2-on-1, 3-on-1 sometimes, and then just insert their will and like drive and power their way to a goal, you don't need to have as good of a team around them, because sometimes a one-person performance can will a team to victory, much like Jordan Binnington has done for us before. So that he would be the closest thing for that. But from an offensive perspective, like you can't send Binner out there to score goals. Like I'm sure he would love to try, but it's just not going to happen. So, and we don't really have that guy. Jordan Kyrou has shown it sometimes, but other times, like, you know, he kind of struggles in that regard. So, and it's not a knock on him either. He's just, there aren't that many of those kinds of players in the NHL for a reason, right? Like it's the most difficult hockey league in the world. So, yeah, I think it's just going to take them time to kind of figure out, you know, with moving parts. And, you know, we saw power play struggling tonight, obviously ended up cashing in on the only goal that they scored.
Yeah. With Falk,
and the penalty, but on the flip side of that, like the penalty kill looked really good until it didn't in overtime. But it's It's why are those penalties happening? And I think those penalties are happening because the Blues are chasing the game.
No, and you're absolutely right. Yeah, and this is especially, you know, a place where they need to be able to command the puck, they need to be able to command the play, they need to be able to say, you guys are coming in here to our barn, we're not going to let you be able to command anything. You know, we're the ones who are going to be dictating the pace of play, and unfortunately, we just haven't seen that here all season long. I'll say it. You know, Bukestad has looked fine. He hasn't looked like the offensive player in at least that side of his game here just as of yet. We haven't been able to see much of Pius Suter here offensively. And you're waiting not just on the top players here right now to be able to get going here offensively. I think Dylan Holloway at times looked fine, just not really that top level player that I think that most people are trying to project him to be. Again, same thing here with Jordan Kyrou. Everybody had some halfway decent looks and attempts, but you know, the Kings did a great job, and I'll tip, I guess, Thomas's cap here to this situation that, you know, they did a good job of blocking the zone, blocking the lanes, and just clogging everything up where the Blues just could not be able to get any second chances, rebounds. And that's just something that the Blues are just going to have to overcome, because it seems like that this is just going to be a continued problem for the Blues here all season long. You know, they're going to, you know, teams are going to look at these game plans and they're going to say, hey, you know, these guys are doing a great job and they're struggling here against, you know, these clogged zones. We got to be able to make sure, because these guys are not going to be able to get these second, third chances. And so as long as you can be able to put the, you know, block up the lanes, the Blues are just going to continue to struggle. So as they got to figure out a way to be able to just migrate and move the puck around, cycle it here a little bit better and clear, so they can really get some clear shots on goal.
Yeah, well, you're not able to bet here yet in Missouri, but if you're watching here in Illinois or basically anywhere else, hope you took the under in this game. But if you are betting the under, make sure you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code STL Sports to get $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live here in Missouri December 1st. That is code STL Sports in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Get it right now. It's the only place to place all your bets. It's the top-notch stuff. They know what they're doing, so trust them. Go get it.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, Mike, I know we've been talking a little bit about Logan Mailloux, but, you know, obviously his spot was taken today by Matthew Kessel. What did you see from his game tonight? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Obviously, it's not a great result, so it's, you know, kind of hard to break it down in a microcosm. But what did you see from his game, being a prospect guy and watching him all the way from AHL to NHL now and last year?
Kessel looked fine. He made a lot of like the simple plays. I think Kessel's the kind of player who, if you're not hearing his name a lot here on the call, he's doing his job. You know, he's not going to be this big flashy player. He's the guy who's just going to be able to make the connecting pass. He's going to be able to clear the zone and just do his job. You know, and it's just going to be a quiet, silent job that he's going to be able to get done. So I didn't mind the game here that Kessel had. His first game here of the season, he had only played, I believe it was like 9 minutes here or so, and then about another 9 here tonight. So they're giving him very, very limited ice time to be able to just start the season. And at this point in time, then you're also seeing, you know, other guys here like Cam Fowler, who's playing 22, 23, 24 minutes. And eventually that's not going to really be able to work. And so, you know, they're going to need to be able to make sure that they eventually can be able to put Logan Mailloux back into the lineup. And personally, I think you're going to be able to see it back here ahead of Thursday's tilt here against Utah. That's at least what I would think. You can't play this game. And again, here in the comments, I'm seeing it, you know, bench a guy here for a game or two, do this. Just you can't keep doing that. It was okay to be able to do it here with like a Logan Mailloux. He's new here to the NHL. He's only got a couple of times, but he's got to be able to get back in here to the lineup.
So do you think he's coming back? Do you think Mailloux takes Kessel's spot in the next game?
If I were a betting man, I would put Logan Mailloux into the lineup. Now, if they only play him again like the 8-9 minutes, I think that's something I would be okay with. shelter him a little bit, like unless he is just thriving. But I think that he goes back into the lineup here against Utah here on Thursday.
Speaking of 8-9 minutes, 9 minutes and 48 seconds of time on ice tonight for Jimmy Snuggerud, our golden boy, Calder favorite, my betting guy. What did you see from his game? So I feel like once the physicality, I mean, once Braden Shen put that hit on Drew Doughty, my God, I thought I was watching a middle linebacker just explode. I was like Ray Lewis, dude. Like, yeah, that was awesome. But I think, as we know, like, it's hard making your like rookie year in the NHL, and it's going to take some time for Jimmy Snuggerud's game to develop.
Yep.
And I think where he lacks the most right now is that physicality and that grit that we see just kind of course through the veins of St. Louis Blues hockey. And that's not even to say that he's like weak or just gets shoved off of pucks too much. It's just like, as a rookie, like that's 9 times out of 10 going to be the place where you struggle. So it's not like I'm expecting more from him or anything like that. It's just like you kind of want to shelter a guy like that, especially like if you're the LA Kings, you play a heavy style, you see Braden Shen taking liabilities on like Drew Doughty and Jake Neighbors going out banging bodies. Like Jimmy Snuggerud's an easy target for that because he weighs like, I don't know, 180 soaking wet. And it's just, he's inexperienced and it's his first year. So I don't know. It's probably like a combination of his play and the physicality factor. But are you at all worried about his lack of time on ice tonight?
No. As the games are going to get tighter, depending on his play, Snuggerud is an easy person to shorten up the bench here with. I mean, it's tough because I do like his shot. I do like his offensive upside, but they're going to lean heavier here on their veterans. And again, if these guys are getting gassed, okay, then you're going to be able to short shift Jimmy Snuggerud. I don't mind it. And especially like when you look here at the season point totals that he's near the top here of the Blues team total points. I think as the season moves along, and again, that's where you go back to, it's a long season. It's a long season. And so these guys are going to need to be able to make sure that they're well rested and you're not putting a guy out there to be able to fail here in any of these situations. So again, you'll be able to rest here on these veterans. Booch has been worthless here. Aaron Dotson says, not disagreeing here with that. He just hasn't had the offensive upside here that we need. Jimmy Snuggerud needs to be able to throw in here where he can, but I'm not worried about him just here as of yet. Obviously, it's only, we're less than 10 games in of an 82 game season. So it's early. Let him get acclimated here to the NHL.
Yeah, this single game is just a moment in time. So that leads us perfectly into our money moment of the game by Home Bank. The money moment of the game is brought to you by Home Bank, the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Mike, if you had to go knee-jerk reaction, thinking about obviously, 2-1 loss, but, willed it to OT. So, if you had to take either a positive from the Blues, maybe a negative from the Blues, but what was your, I guess, impactful money moment of the game for this loss against the Los Angeles Kings?
I think the biggest turning point around here was going to be that fight here from Tyler Tucker. Like you said here earlier, like it shouldn't need to rely here on a fight every single game, but this is a team who absolutely needed a spark. You could be able to say it was Braden Shen's, and I have a feeling like you're going to say it's Braden Shen's hit here on Drew Doughty, but for me, it was absolutely the fight because afterwards, this team had a lot more of a spark, a lot more of a jump here heading into the end of the second period and then into the third period. So that's where I'm going to go with.
I'm going to take more of a literal approach and say not so much a positive one, but I think the money moment of the game and really where the game hinged on that moment was Pavel Buchnevich and the shift in overtime. Just because it was overtime, it's 3-on-3 hockey. Like you get the Red Seas just part for you, right? And all of a sudden you're flying down. You've got this golden opportunity. Darcy Kemper's a solid goalie, but I think he missed the net and didn't even get it on goal. And then gets stuck out on the ice, gets gassed. The Kings get in behind him, has to take a hooking penalty, goes to the box, and then the game's over. So unfortunately, it's not one that I'd like to cash in, but that's my money moment of the game because that's kind of what ended up taking you to the bank, unfortunately.
Nope, completely agree.
All right, so knowing what we know now about this Blues team, I know chat was talking about it a little bit. It's like, is this a fifth place team? Is this a fourth place team? Like, has your opinion of the St. Louis Blues changed from your opinion of what they were going into this season?
Nope.
Or do you maintain your expectations still? What are your thoughts there about the future of the St. Louis Blues in 2025 and 2026?
Nope. I still think this is a team who is more than capable of taking third place here in the Central Division. There's a lot of teams who have shown very, very strong performances here early on. But I think one of the biggest positive notes here from this is that we have seen some strong goaltending here from Jordan Binnington, and definitely at times here from Joel Hofer. He's going to be able to get this figured out. Once this offense can be able to start getting some pucks buried, you're going to see the Blues start racking up some points. So I am very confident that at the very least, we're keeping the pucks here out of the net for the most part. But that's I think always one of the hardest parts was to make sure that your goaltending here is up to snuff. And so again, once this offense gets clicking, I think the sky's the limit here for this team. I had just taken a poll here on Twitter just the other day, and most of the fans here actually believe that this is a second round exit team. And honestly, if I was willing to put it, second round, I think would be more. I'd be more than happy with that performance here long term.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I had them pegged at the beginning of this season, and I think, like you said, like this is a microcosm game, and really, it's so early on in the season that I don't think we have a good sense of who's good yet in the league at all. I mean, even the Florida Panthers are kind of struggling right now, and we know what they're capable of, obviously, when it comes down to it. Even without Barkov and without Tkachuk, like, still a dominating force over there. So, yeah, I think for the Blues, it's just, start building in the right direction. And we've seen flashes of that. And, the team tonight wasn't good enough, but we know that this team is capable of being good enough. And like you said, once this offense gets back firing on all cylinders, I mean, Dylan Holloway basically led all of your forwards tonight with 22 minutes of time on ice. If that doesn't tell you Jim Montgomery's opinion of him, more time on ice than Robert Thomas. Like, if that doesn't tell you Jim Montgomery's opinion of Dylan Holloway, like, that's a top tier guy that you got for basically peanuts from the Oilers and sheet because they didn't want to pay him and you decided that he was good enough. So I think it's it's easy to get fired up about a loss, especially one like this that comes in overtime. But when you break it down, dude, like, I don't even think the Blues won 3 games in a row until like February or March last season. And they still ended up scraping into the playoffs and almost won a first round. So when you say a second round exit, like, yeah, I could easily see that still happening with this team because, it's so early in the season, nothing's lost. Like, there's plenty of time to turn it around. It's just you need to see the pieces of the puzzle that are available to turn it around, and I think this team has them in play.
Exactly. Yep. And I do see again, and I totally agree here, like with the comments that, you do need your top 6 to really start putting their foot here on the pedal. You're seeing a lot here from your bottom 6. And I love that, and I appreciate that. You're seeing some good stuff here coming from your goaltending, and they're the ones who are really helping you at times be able to keep you in. This top 6 does need to get up and going. I will fully agree here with that. And my assumption that this team here is a playoff team, that this team here is going to be able to start racking up points, is under the assumption that this team is going to start getting that top 6 firing on all cylinders. Because if not, then you're looking at a very, very long season. And if that's not the case, then we're going to be racking up those points. So I'm really hoping that these guys can start figuring it out, whatever's going on here with them. Nothing really looks like that it's new here to me from last year, but they just they've got to get it figured out.
Well, Ace in the chat says that he's fired up. So I just wanted to let everybody know and remind them that you can fuel your fire with Drink Thunder, the all-natural pre-workout that hits different. It's plant-based, fruit-powered, zero sugar, sweetened naturally with monk fruit. Each serving is packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to ignite your energy and push your performance to the next level. Choose your flavor, orange mango, blackberry lemonade, or strawberry cream, and feel the rush the natural way. Order now at drinkthunder.com. Drink Thunder, pure power, no crash, all natural. Mike, Thursday, another Central Division matchup against the Utah Mammoth. What do you see for the St. Louis Blues in that game? Do you see Jordan Binnington back between the pipes, or do you think they go back to Hofer? We already talked about Mailloux versus Kessel. You're in the camp that they're going to put Mailloux back in, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna actually disagree with you there, and I think they're going to put Kessel back in because Kessel looked really good. But that's just for the sake of conversation and fun. We'll be able to talk about it on Thursday and see who was right. But what do you anticipate seeing from this team against the Utah Mammoth, and what do you anticipate seeing from the Utah Mammoth against the St. Louis Blues?
So the Utah Mammoth here are playing Colorado here right now. They're 4-2-0, third in the Central Division. I'm sorry, third here, in the Central Division. Their offense is struggling here a bit, same way here that St. Louis is. Utah is tied for 19th with 2.83 goals per game. They've got a struggling power play. They have a 9.9 shooting percentage. This is a team who, and finally here, goals allowed, 2.17, tied for fourth. So this is a team who's not really allowing a whole heck of a lot of goals, but they're also not really putting up a lot of goals here on the other side here as well. So this is really going to be interesting. Again, offense has got to really get this figured out. I could see this being a very close, again, a 2-1 matchup if the Blues can't get something going here offensively. I do think that this is a chance to be able to see this team rebound here again, and we've seen this team rebound here before. So hoping here for a win, but it's going to be a tough matchup.
Yeah, I'm worried about this one because it feels like if the Blues can't get up for the first two periods of a matchup against the LA Kings, it's like you have to get up for those Central Division opponent matchups, and we just saw what happened against the Chicago Blackhawks at home, like just a debacle, right? So, that's a little bit concerning to me. Also, Nick Schmaltz currently leads the Utah Mammoth with 9 points, which I think we were talking earlier, and you said the Blues leader has like 5 points. So it's, maybe the Blues just have more depth and kind of have their points spread out more. But from what it looks like, it just looks like, Utah's filling up the point sheet a little bit more than the St. Louis Blues are. And, I think long-term throughout the course of the season, like they're going to have to, because most of their offense, most of their power is in their offense. You got guys like Clayton Keller, Dylan Gunther, Peterka now, and then Logan Cooley. They don't they've got, Sergachev on the back end, but outside of that, they don't really have any world beaters, and they definitely don't have Jordan Binnington in net. So right. From a rounded out standpoint, I think the Blues have a better team. But if you're asking me if this turns into a boat race, which offense is going to outscore the other one, I would probably take Utah as it is right now, just with the way that the Blues are performing. So it can probably get ugly pretty fast. So I need this Blues team to, be mentally strong, go out there, ready to play in the first period, please. If that's not too much to ask, that would be ideal. But for sure, you got to lock it down defensively. And I think going back to, our Matthew Kessel versus Logan Mailloux bet, I think the upside that Logan Mailloux provides you offensively is a fair enough trade-off to, not really, I wouldn't say keep him in the press box because that sounds like a punishment, but just the way that Matthew Kessel played and like you described him, when you don't notice him, that's a good thing because he's kind of like that stay-at-home defenseman that's just, his job is to lock it down. I feel like he did a good job of that tonight, all things considered. Yeah. So the Blues are going to need some more of that against the Utah Mammoth, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just of the notion that Mailloux needs to be able to get back here on the ice, and I think after 2 games and a couple of practices, that it's a good chance to be able to just get the guy back here in the lineup here again here on home ice and give him just another chance. And if you need to start just doing a little bit of a rotation here between he and Matt Kessel, then so be it. But yeah, these guys need to be able to start here on time, and I would love it if you can be able to have Logan Mailloux here as I'm just looking for a middle of the pack guy. I'm not even talking, a star here of the game. I'm not talking, anything else. I'm just looking for him to be a middle of the pack average player here, to start turning the ship around here for himself.
Yeah. And the Blues, like we said, will look to turn the ship around on Thursday against the Mammoth. Hopefully they come out with the win like we're talking about. But as for us, that's all the time that we have for today. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Blues Central. As always, make sure you follow us on all socials. You can follow STL Sports Central for all the post-game shows. We're on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. So yeah, get us wherever you consume content. We will see you guys all Thursday. Peace.